The reason is that wealthy people like their money to be working for them at any amount of time. They don't want their money to be set aside in a place where they can't touch it and it can't be actively working for them, generating, most of the time, generating a cash flow that comes to them.
So what's the number one secret, Stephanie, or even the number one reason not to put your money into a 401k?
Well, that took me some time to get to understand, and it largely came from me working with my very wealthy investors, and I would look over their, investments and what they had going on, and it really surprised me that well over probably 90% of them had no 401k. And, that, of course, was towards the beginning of my career of raising money, and just kind of looked into that further and, went to read a lot of different books and understand why. And the reason is that wealthy people like their money to be working for them at any amount of time. They don't want their money to be set aside in a place where they can't touch it and it can't be actively working for them, generating, most of the time, generating a cash flow that comes to them. They view money as something that they want to be working for them. They don't want to, they also want to, they're very clear about how much their money is making at any time. And how much they have. And I think the largest question on the 401k side is, if someone has $500,000 in their 401k in 20 years, how much do they really have? You have a financial planner that can give you an idea, but it's all an idea, as well as we have no idea what the tax ramifications are going to be. And that is just something, those two things keep, I think, wealthy people out of investing in 401ks.
Very well said. Yeah, so much interesting thoughts there. So, yeah, and I've always loved the ability to invest in cash flow producing real estate, right? Something that you can control or add value to, something that you can take over the management if you need to, something you can, especially if it's an apartment complex, you could also move into it if you ever needed to, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, so many ways, and then also tax advantages for depreciation, offset income, and hopefully the 1031 exchange stays around, right? And Biden doesn't limit it so much that it gets eliminated. So lots there, but I also shifted. I went from forget the 401k, and the other reason I went from forget that and the even the self-directed IRA, I just cashed out of that, because what I found was I was like, you know what, I'm 38, right? And a couple of years ago, I was like, I don't want to wait till I'm like 60 or 70. I don't have to wait to potentially have freedom with my family and my next business venture, and not be able to enjoy the wealth now, right? I don't want to just park it there. I don't know. I might even live till I'm 60 or 70. Who knows, right? So I said, you know what? I'm going to focus all my attention in cash flow producing real estate in my own business venture, right? So I can build wealth now that could help me, give me 5 or 10 years back. Because one thing we can't get back is time, right? It's the one thing that no one can get back. And if you're having to put into this retirement account, right, that typically you're going to have these penalties if you take it out. You're going to hit with the big tax ramifications. It can be a big challenge, but most folks are, I call it the Blockbuster way of planning, right? They're just, that's what they're taught to do, just do these certain things. But I've shifted. So any thoughts on that, Stephanie?
You mentioned two really great points. Is one, the tax, that just mentioning about the tax issues in the future. And, people are always like, well, what do the wealthy do that's different? I think I've mentioned a few things. They're very concerned with what their money is doing at any particular time. They want control of the money. But secondly, they want to know, they are always mitigating their taxes, and people have, feelings about that one way or the other, but it's incredibly smart when you think of how much of your money gets eaten up by taxes. So if you come at your investments from a two-pronged approach like that, you're going to you'll do amazing, actually.
Exactly. It's no longer about cash flow. It's about tax flow, right? Especially as
Yes.
taxes and potential for Biden proposing from 20 to 40% on the capital gains tax rate,
Yeah.
right? Increasing the income tax rate. So cash flow is definitely important. That's like step one. And building your portfolio and getting asset protection and getting, insurance stuff, everything to get that in place, your living trust in place, right? But then when you exit, we believe using the deferred sales trust is awesome because now you can capture high value, pay off debt, defer your tax, also move funds outside the taxable estate. But then you can start to tax flow engineer how you receive when you receive income, which is
Mhm.
also very, really, really, really great.